Well, this weekend was pretty relaxed in terms of weather, but that's all about to change heading into this work week. Now, we do have some unsettled weather lined up for South Central. That means some scattered showers of both rain and snow, and then some partly sunny skies mixed into there. We have some dry conditions moving into the interior and into the slope. And the biggest headline is the series of storms that are ahead for southeast Alaska. So that's the most important thing to take away from today. You can see this low pressure system out in the Bering Sea. This is going to bring some rain along for the Aleutian chain, but you can already see some of those bands of moisture moving on through Bethel and western Alaska as that snow starts to move in. We also have a special weather statement for Anchorage and for South Central. That's from that 1 to 2 inches of snow expected along the Glen Highway for tomorrow morning. But then another special weather statement is issued along southeast, and that's from that series of storms that we're expecting to see as we progress through this week. So for southeast, you can expect some pretty calm conditions for Monday, but that's going to change from Tuesday all the way through Friday. So just right now, focusing over the Bering Sea, you can see this low pressure system. That's what's bringing in a little bit of a wintry mix, both for western Alaska, but also for the Aleutian chain. So that's going to start to shift down south and then right overhead for the Aleutian chain, bringing in some rainfall across most of these islands. And then it's going to push a little bit into the Alaska Peninsula. But then you're going to notice statewide, we have fairly dry conditions across from western Alaska into the interior. Some of that's even stretching up into the North Slope. But then if you shift your focus down into southern Alaska, you'll see these scattered showers moving on through for Monday morning. That's that little bit of bump in the road for that morning commute if you're going from Wasilla into Anchorage or just into the valley. But then shifting over into southeast, you'll see some of these bands of moisture moving on through. It's going to be pretty inconsistent, but then by Tuesday, that's when we have that big change ahead with one of our systems moving in for this week. So that's going to bring in some heavy rainfall as well as some strong wind gusts, with a possibility of some of those wind gusts going up to 65 miles per hour. So that's just for Tuesday. You'll notice a second storm moving on through for Wednesday. So this is the week to be prepared if you're in southeast Alaska. Just be aware of what's going on with all these storms moving through. But then Monday, it stays pretty dry, stays pretty calm in terms of wind, but then it's going to pick up by Tuesday, and then it'll pick up again by Wednesday as those storms start to follow suit one after the other. So just looking at our snow totals from going into Monday for the work week ahead, the interior is going to start to dry up quite a bit. You can already see a lot of this area is still green, not really seeing any blue on the map for the interior. But then into South Central, we're seeing quite a bit more snow moving on through. This is mostly true for southern portions of the Kenai Peninsula, but then especially for the Copper River Basin over here. So traces of snow expected for Anchorage moving into the valley, and that's for that morning commute tomorrow morning. But then snow totals over in southeast by tomorrow afternoon, or excuse me, by Tuesday afternoon, you can see some of those higher elevations seeing between a trace to 2 to 4 inches of snow. So that's something to keep in mind moving ahead. But then we're going to have very dry conditions for rain across western Alaska into the interior. So not a whole lot of rain in the forecast for western Alaska into the interior, but southeast, you will have some dry conditions for Monday. Again, Monday is your break for weather conditions before Tuesday brings in some more storms. So temperatures still staying pretty normal in the 40s. In the interior, we're seeing that drop in temperature into the 20s and even into the low 20s if you're in Fort Yukon. But then the North Slope, seeing these temperatures dipping down even into the negatives in Anaktuvuk Pass for those lows, but highs staying in the low 20s into the teens. Western Alaska also following suit with those temperatures dropping down into the 20s and even into the teens for Kotzebue, with some snow potential into areas of the Bering Sea like Gamble and the Aleutian Islands, seeing a little bit more rain moving on through with those gusting winds as well, because that's usually what happens with those low pressure systems. They bring both rain and also those strong wind gusts and windy conditions. In South Central, you'll see these temperatures dropping below 40 into the 30s for most of the region, sitting close to the 40s in the Copper River Basin, with some snowy mixtures ahead for Whittier and into Valdez as well. And then into the valley, we're seeing some more of those snowy conditions moving through for Wasilla and Palmer, and those highs staying in the mid-30s. So mid-30s are expected for Anchorage as well, with some of those wintry mixtures moving on through for Monday morning. But Michaela, those are going to die off by the afternoon, so it's not going to be like a foot of snow or anything like that, just a little bit of a trace and then a little on the Glen Highway as well.